Hello everyone, and welcome back to another devlog of my game Project Giant Mech, and also a very warm Eid Mubarak to everyone. While making this video, Eid just happened 2 days ago, but this video might come out weeks after. Alright, so it has been another 2 creative months for my project. For the last 2 months, I have been working hard on implementing the hub scenes and how to move around along different scenes. I'm really close in completing a complete game cycle, and hopefully it will be done by the next devlog. Also, please like and subscribe, that will help me out in the long run with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, so let's get started. For those that are new to the channel, I am Kamran Wali and I am solo developing my game Project Giant Mech, which is a first-person shooter game with inspiration from Doom Eternal and EDF5 games. I'm trying to make the game fast-paced as Doom Eternal and give giant mechs and enemies like EDF5. There will be campaigns, character customization, upgrades, and weapon selection. Also, Project Giant Mech is not the name of the game. I'm still thinking of the name, and there are few names that I'm leaning towards and will announce it once I have the Steam page up. If you guys want to know more about the playstyle of the game, then I suggest you to check out my previous devlogs of the project so that you will get a better idea. Alright, the first task I did during this devlog is to create a scene template that will contain all the necessary scripts and objects at the basic level for a scene. So far, I only have one scene template called Save Zone Template Asset that is used for creating safe zone scenes, which is the hub world at the moment. It is very simple to create scene templates in Unity. I will link to the Unity's doc on how to create scene templates in the description below. From the last devlog, you have seen the player's room being added into the game, but there wasn't much you could do in the room. So now I have implemented some functionalities into the player's room and even added the crew area. You can now open the doors, and in this case, the bathroom door and the exit door. You can also exit the player's room and enter the crew area. At the moment, you can move around the crew area. I added some small dust particle effect to make the area feel a bit alive. In future, I will add some NPCs walking around and talking to each other. I'm also thinking about adding some military related posters on these walls to make the area look even more interesting. Also, I added a feature that shows the pop-up icons of objects of interest, and in this case, they are the player's room icon and the elevator icon. I followed Omar Balfaki's tutorial on how to achieve the pop-up icon feature. I have shared the link to his tutorial in the description below. He makes some really good tutorials with good explanations, and I highly recommend you to check him out. Also, later in the player's room, I will add a bit more functionalities like allowing the player to customize appearance and select weapon loadouts, and maybe also to start a mission from the player's room directly. The new scene added during this devlog is the Command Center Hub World scene. Now, before I talk about this scene and explain it, I just want to say that I'm really happy that I reached this point in development to start working on this scene. Why? Well, because this particular scene was one of my main goals when I started making this game almost 1.5 years ago. To see this scene slowly but surely coming alive makes me feel truly cheerful and lets me know that the game is indeed coming along well and all those hard work are slowly paying off. I guess this is a joyful emotion that indie developers will understand when they see their imagination come to fruition. Anyway, I should go back to explaining the scene, or I'll just keep on talking about this feeling. Alright, so when entering the command center, I want the player to feel the vastness of the ocean and the immenseness of the ship. I created a simple shader for the ocean that allows it to blend with any objects near the edges of the ocean. Here is how it looks without the shader. Here is how it looks with the shader. Also, here is how the shader works, which is very simple, but you must have bloom activated in the post-processing for the blend to take effect. I have also added the clouds, the sun, and some wind trail particle effects to the outside environment. Also, if you haven't noticed, the outside environment swings slightly to give the feeling of the wave motion. You can also see the big giant guns scanning for any enemies that is approaching the ship. It kinda gives an intimidating feeling to it. To the outside environment, I will later add planes and helicopters landing or taking off to make it feel much more alive. and maybe also add some NPCs doing various activities and some birds that have made the ship their home. Alright, so now let's talk about the interior of the command center. This is the part that took the most time doing this devlog because I had to plan and create another Atlas map texture for the screens. And by screens I mean the computer monitors and the main big center screen. For the smaller monitor screens, I had to make sure that the UV maps aligned properly so that both the front and back side of the screen looks exactly the same. I used my holographic shader to give that holographic kind of feel to the screen. I also made some variation of the screens so that it feels like different NPCs are working on different tasks. Later I will add NPCs sitting and typing away at their desks. The left and right side of the big center screen is same as the monitors, which is they are textures with holographic shader. The center part of the screen is different because here I am using a second camera and a render texture to project the view of the second camera. Basically, it is using the same principle as the minimap camera. This second camera only shows the Earth model and its objects. I also added a simple rotation script to the Earth model and made it rotate continuously. How to use render texture and projecting it in camera views is linked in the description below. I really like how this adds to the aesthetic of the scene. Also, by now you have probably noticed some markings on the holographic Earth. This is more story related, so when I will start to implement the story, then I will explain what these markings means. And don't worry, these markings does not spoil anything in the story and in fact will be part of the prologue of the story. Alright, the main reason for the command center scene is to allow the player to start a mission. There is a start mission pop-up icon that shows the player where the missions can be started, and in this case it is the central terminal. So when the player gets close to it, a select mission UI will pop up and pressing the assign action button will open up the mission select menu. This menu is not finished yet and is still work in progress. I have created a map that will show where the mission will take place by highlighting the mission point and also where the ship is located. At the moment I have created the map of Bangladesh, which is the highlighted area. Later I will need to make 2 or 3 more maps like this, which will depend on how far I can go with the story. I have managed to get most of the features done for this menu, like highlighting the selected mission and showing its details, and also allowing the mission select list to be scrollable. At the moment you can see a small bug at the bottom left where the target location is pointing outside of the map. Hopefully I will fix this issue by the next devlog and also finish the mission start feature. By now you are probably wondering how I'm moving between different hub world scenes, that is the crew area scene and the command center scene. I have created a hub world scene loading feature that tackles this problem, and it is called the elevator. When entering the hub world, there are 3 objects that will not get destroyed. They are the elevator, the player, and the common UI. So whenever a hub world scene changes, then these 3 objects will not disappear on scene change. The elevator acts as a scene loading manager for the hub world. So when the player enters the elevator, they can choose which floor they want to go to, which are the crew area, shop area, flight deck, and command center. So once the player presses a button other than the same floor, the elevator door will close. Once the elevator door closes, that is when the scene loading starts. During this process, the player will be able to move around the elevator and will have no idea that outside the elevator, scenes are being destroyed and new scenes are being loaded in. Once the selected scene has been fully loaded, then the scene will trigger the elevator to open the door and allow the player to exit the elevator. I really like this process of loading in scenes because it makes the loading time negative aspect into a positive feature. To the player, this loading time will seem like the elevator is moving from one point to another and thus helping to keep the immersion feeling of the game. So let me give a brief idea on how the interaction works between the player and 3D objects. The player detects interactive objects by throwing a ray from the center of the screen within a small distance and checking if the ray hits any interactive objects. Each interactive object has an interactive script which allows the action to happen when the player presses the action key. There are many different types of interactive scripts like opening or closing doors, or showing the start mission menu, or even selecting which scene to load. All of these interactive scripts have one parent in common, which is the abstract class called base interactive. The array searches for this abstract class whenever it hits an interactive object. Once the child of basic interactive is found and the player presses the action key, then the action method will be called. For example, an elevator button has a collider and an interactive script. When the ray hits the button, it searches for the base interactive script, and once the player presses the action key, then the action method in the child class of the base interactive will be called. This is how all of my 3D interactive works. Alright, that is it for this devlog. My goals for the next 2 months will be trying to finish up the hub world, especially the mission start feature. I will also try to finish the other 2 interior areas, which are the shopping area and the flight deck. Also, hoping to get the complete game cycle done as well by that time. Plus, I will also need to fix any performance issues that the new features brings. I'm very grateful that you all came so far into the video. Please like and subscribe, that will help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Tell me what you think about the progress of the game thus far in the comment section below. See you all in the next devlog. Take care and stay safe. K out!